Amazing, everyone. Thank you very much for your confirmation in the chat. So let's get started. And hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today's webinar. First of all, congratulations on reaching the qualification stage. My name is Carolina. I'm part of Telus Digital's qualification team, and I'm here to help you pass this exam. Before I dive into this, though, I would like to take a moment to share with you some context about what this project aims to achieve. So as you know, the project you will be part of once you pass the exam is called Mapping, and this project aims to make a mapping tool more accurate by using artificial intelligence to improve the experience for users. So this is where we need people like you guys to help us check the data accuracy of the results, and this is what the exam will test you on. So today, I would like to go through the welcome email you will receive, the exam and the guidelines, and then some frequently asked questions at the very end. But if anybody has any questions of their own that they'd like me to answer, please feel free to pop them into the chat and I'll be happy to answer them at the end of the webinar. So diving in then, the welcome mail that you all received included the link to this webinar, of course, but please be aware that some of our communication, some of our emails can end up in your spam folder sometimes. So please just keep an eye on this folder as you move through the qualification stage. And the welcome email contains your exam deadline, as well as an overview of what you can expect and all the learning material to fully prepare for the exam. It also includes your access to the exam platform, which is TryRating, and your deadline to complete the exam is 7 days from the date you receive the welcome email. We sent you the welcome email yesterday. So guys, we give you this amount of time so that you can prepare and complete the exam over the 7 days. So you don't have to complete it all in one sitting. Feel free to take as many breaks as you need, as long as you finish your exam before the 7 days deadline. And also, to manage your time, the best practice is on days 1 and 2 to review all the learning materials and practice in our exam simulator. You're also invited to this webinar, of course, and for the remaining 5 days, you should focus on answering the exam surveys and understanding the guidelines. And it's very important to mention that you must use the guidelines document if you want to pass this exam. So before starting the real exam, you will be required to go through our exam simulator in GT Studio. All the information on how to sign up is included in the welcome email as well. And you should have also received an additional invitation to join, which is this email over here. And the first time you sign up, you might see this image of no active task found. So do not worry, this is normal. All you need to do is to wait for 1 hour and you will get the task assigned into your profile. And there are 72 practice questions in total, which are very similar to the real exam questions. And you won't pass or fail the exam simulator, but it will help you get fully prepared for the real exam, because every time you answer a question, you will get immediate feedback with the correct answer reflected. And to access the exam, the real exam, all you need to do is to follow the link in the welcome email, and the email address you should use when accessing is the same one you received the welcome mail to, and for ease, it's actually given to you in the email as well. So you might have to create or to reset your password on your first visit to TryRating, as you can see in the screenshot over here, but this is totally normal and it's part of the process. And then when you successfully log into TryRating platform, this is the first screen you will see. So to begin the exam, just click on the Get a Survey blue button, and there can be a confusion once candidates see the word survey. So let me clarify that. Now that surveys are what exam questions are called. The number of surveys in the exam can vary depending on how many questions and how many results you answer correctly. So if you are receiving a lot of surveys, this means that you are doing well and you can still pass this exam. And then when you click the Get a Survey button, then this is the first screen you will see. So there's a lot of information here, guys. This is exam, and I will break it down for you. But first of all, guys, let me zoom in. So as I said before, for this exam, a real user is looking for something in a mapping search engine. They get a different number of results, and you will have to determine how relevant, accurate, and good those results are for the user according to what they are looking for. So on each survey, we can clearly see that we have a map with several pieces of information. So first of all, guys, this is where the user is located. This little icon over here is the user's location. We also have the viewport, which is this purple box in the map, and is the part of the map that the user was looking at. And we also have a number of results identified by these pins, which are connected to the color code boxes over on the right, with a list of questions you need to answer to rate each of them. So the number of results can vary on every single survey. You can have one result, you can have 5 results, and you will be requested to rate all of them. Then also on the right, we have some information about the user over here. So first, we have the query. The query is basically your exam question, guys. This is simply what the user typed into the mapping search engine. So this is what the user is looking for. So then we also have the viewport age. The viewport age is referring to the purple box viewport in the map. And this can have two different states, either fresh or stale. Fresh means that it's a recent viewport and the user is expecting or might be expecting results in that specific part of the map. And stale means that it's a fairly old and the user is not expecting results in there. Then we also have the locale and the country, which is basically just where the user is located and what language they speak. So for exam purposes, guys, this will always be English US and the country will always be the United States. Just for exam purposes, the situation will be different once you start working on live paid tasks according to your location. And then we also have the user's location stated in coordinates over here. So remember for the exam, guys, to always put yourself in the user's shoes. As this is about mapping, usually the user is trying to find a business, a point of interest, or an address to navigate to. So now, guys, with that being said, now that we understand what's on every single survey and the purpose of the exam, so the first time on the first survey that you see on the screen, guys, the first step that you need to follow is basically to click the rating guidelines blue button that is in this part of the screen. So this will open the PDF guidelines in a new tab beside the exam for you. But what are the guidelines? The guidelines are basically your source of truth. What I mean by that is that all of the answers and how to rate a question are in the guidelines, and it's not possible to pass this exam without referring to this document. So for this webinar, I will show you through the main sections and what they mean in reference to the exam. And we will have a mix of screenshots and videos from both the exam and the guidelines. So before I dive into this though, I want to share with you guys some tips on how to navigate the guidelines quickly and effectively. So as you can see in the video in the screen, we have the guidelines open in a new tab beside the exam. So don't worry about the length of the document as it's largely filled with the screenshots and examples to help you. So don't let that worry you. Then the first couple of pages are a table of contents, and all of the headings in this table are actually clickable links. That means that you can click any of these headings and it will take you directly to that specific section. And the other tip that I want to share with you guys is if you're using a Windows device, you can press the Control button plus the F letter to bring up the Find tool. And if you're using a Mac device, it's actually the Command button plus the F letter, and the Find tool will allow you to search the whole document via keywords. So this way, it will be way much easier to navigate this document, guys. But please keep in mind that this is actually an open book exam. So that means that you can have your guidelines document open all the time while doing the exam. So you can refer to all the examples and screenshots that we have in there, and you can make sure that you are choosing the correct answers all the time. And there are 11 sections to the guidelines. The first 4 sections will give you the information you need to understand exactly what you are doing in the exam, and the next 5 sections will contain most of the information you'll be referring to as you complete the exam. So these sections contain the rules for rating relevance, rating the name and category accuracy, rating the address accuracy, and rating the pin accuracy. And the final 2 sections contain really important situational rules for rating the service. And we observed that most candidates who fail this exam do not read these sections. So guys, I highly recommend you getting familiar with the sections 10 and 11 of the guidelines document. And the first 2 chapters of the guidelines will show you around the main features of the service and provide a basic understanding of the exam layout. They will also help you understand how to approach the queries. But remember, guys, the queries you will see in this exam are real queries submitted by real users. And because of this, they can contain mistakes, they can be misspelled, or maybe they won't even have a maps intent. So the first step in the rating process is to understand the query and the location intent. To put it simple, what was the user trying to accomplish and where were they trying to go when typing the query? So taking a look at the third screenshot here, we have the location intent. So in a query, there can be two types of location intent. It can be either explicit or implicit. So we say that a location intent in a query is explicit when the query is made clearly and it indicates a specific location or area in the map where results are expected. So basically the user is telling us what type of results they are expecting, but also in which specific part they are expecting those results. So the user is being very clear. And we say that a location intent is implicit in a query when the location expectation is not clear. So basically, the user might be telling us what type of results they are expecting, but is still not clear in which specific part those results are expected. So we have to use clues to determine that. So now, guys, let's take a closer look at the location intent. So here I have some examples of both the explicit location and implicit location. So we have some queries over here. So some clear examples of explicit location intent could be, for example, a query just saying Boston museums. As you can see, the user is telling us that they are looking for museums, but they are also telling us a location. So they should be getting results of museums located in Boston. Also, it could be someone who typed KFC Philadelphia. As you can see as well, the user is telling us they're expecting KFC restaurants results, but they are also telling us in which specific location. And still, a good example, but a kind of different example, it's someone who just typed food near me or my location. Still, the user is telling us where are they trying to go, what are they trying to find, and for that reason, this is still considered explicit location intent in a query. Then for implicit location intent, a good example of this could be someone who just typed Chinese. This is all they typed into a mapping search engine, and as you can see, guys, it's very hard to tell where are they trying to go, what are they trying to find. Another example could be someone who just typed an address that it's incomplete. So they typed just 479 Margarita Avenue. So you can see, guys, it's very hard to tell. And for that reason, we have to use clues to determine the part of the map where the user is expecting results and or even what type of results the user is expecting. So now, guys, here I have an example of a question with 3 results identified by these 3 pins in the map. We have result number 1 in orange, result number 2 in purple, and result number 3 in green. This is where the user is located, and here we have the purple box, which is the viewport. All right, guys, so as you can see, we also have a list of input boxes where we will be submitting our answers below these. So guys, on the next slide, I have the same question screenshot, but without a map, so we can fully understand what are all the questions we need to answer to rate each result, and I'm going to explain each of them. So here it is, guys. So as you can see, for this question, here we have the user information, and the user's query over here says Burger King. So this is what the user typed, and we understand immediately what the user intent is here. So they are looking for Burger King, and this result, the one that we are going to use for the example today, is the number 2, the purple one, is for Burger King located at this specific address. So as you can see, guys, in this screenshot, we have a list of check boxes and questions we need to answer to rate this result. As I said, we're going to go through all of them. So guys, there are 6 questions. This is the same thing, but in this specific screenshot, we have each of them. So there are 6 questions we need to answer to rate each of the results the user got. And here it is. So let's start with the first question. Is there a navigational result for this query? So what's a navigational result? We can say that there is a navigational result for a location if there's only one result in the real world that can completely satisfy the user intent. So as you can see, we have 2 examples over here. We have a user's query saying the Eiffel Tower and a query saying Starbucks. So we all know the Eiffel Tower, guys. We know that there's only one location, the real world, that can satisfy the user intent. So for this one, the answer is yes, because they are going to get a unique result. But what about Starbucks, guys? We know that basically they have stores all over the world. So if someone types into a mapping search engine just Starbucks, they are not going to get a unique result. They are going to get a lot of results. So this is why we say that there is no navigational result for this specific query. So that doesn't mean that a Starbucks store or a similar business, a similar chain business cannot have a navigational result. But in order for the user to get a unique result and for us to answer yes, the user's query needs to be very specific. For example, a very specific Starbucks store and address. Because if the user is being specific, they are going to get that specific result. So for that reason, the answer here is no. So now, if we go back again to the Burger King example, guys, so what do you think? In this specific scenario, the user's query is Burger King, and the result that we have is just this Burger King located at this address. So what do you think? Is there a navigational result for this query, yes or no? Okay, I'm reading a lot of notes already, so this is very good, guys. You definitely got it. The correct answer is no, because basically the user is not being specific. They just type Burger King. They are not telling us in which Burger King they are interested in. They just type Burger King. We know there are several stores all over the world. So if someone just types this, basically they are not going to get a unique result. So for that reason, the answer here is no. There is no navigational result. So now, guys, for every survey, we must also answer to other high-level questions. These two check boxes over here. This is the second step. So let me zoom in on this. So these are the two check boxes we need to answer. And we should only mark these boxes if necessary. If they don't apply, we just keep them blank. So they are, first, is the result name or title in an unexpected language or script? So basically here, guys, we are talking about this name of the result over here, the one displayed over here. So if you notice, guys, that this name is not in the correct language, so for the exam, for example, if this is not in English, or if this is incorrectly capitalized or misspelled, then you need to mark this box over here. Now, the second check is about, is the business or point of interest closed or does not exist? For this specific step, we need to do some research. So we have to basically find out if this Burger King store is permanently closed or if it doesn't exist. So basically, we need to do some research on any search engine that you prefer. So I'm going to show you what to do. Let me share my other screen. And here it is, guys. Very simple. All I did was to type Burger King, but I also included the address that we have. So I got the result of the store that we are rating, and we can immediately notice that this store is basically permanently closed. So for that reason, guys, if we go back to the presentation, it is necessary to mark the second box over here because this store is permanently closed. So now, the next step, guys, the number 3 is rating the relevance. So we need to establish the relevance here. So how relevant is this result for the user? So there's 5 options to choose from. We have navigational, once again, we have excellent, good, acceptable, and bad. Basically, this is how we determine if this result is satisfying considering the user's need and the user's query. So as you can see, first of all, we have navigational once again. So let me explain that. So remember the first question we answered, the one saying, is there a navigational result for this query? Well, basically, guys, your answer in both questions, number 1 and the relevance, number 3, must be related. That means that if you selected that there is a navigational result for this query, your relevance should be definitely navigational because there's a unique result. But if your answer was no, guys, that there is not navigational result, there's no reason for you to choose navigational here. So you shouldn't be choosing this one. You have to choose from excellent, good, acceptable, and bad. All right. So with that being said, these are the options we have to choose from. And just keep in mind that if at some point you select that your relevance is one of the options from good or below, good, acceptable, or bad, then you will be presented with 2 more checkboxes over here. Just make sure to use them to select the reason of your rating. So for example, if you choose that your relevance is acceptable, make sure to select if it's because of a user intent issue or because of a distance provenance issue. So these screenshots over here, guys, are taken directly from the guidelines document. All the screenshots in these presentations are taken from the guidelines. You already have access to try ratings, so you already have access to the guidelines document. And you already have access to all this information, guys. So it is specifically stated in this information over here when you can consider marking the user intent issue or the distance prominence issue. So the guidelines provide an excellent outline to our script to follow when rating relevance. And as we can see in the first screenshot here on the left side, the first thing to do is to check if there's a connection between the query and the result. So for example, if we have a user's query saying Burger King and we are rating a result saying Burger King, this definitely has a clear connection. But what if we have a user's query saying Burger King, but we are rating an Starbucks result? We can immediately notice that there is no clear connection. So if there's no connection, your relevance should be immediately rated as bad. But if there's a connection, then we need to check if it satisfies the user intent and rate as directed. So there are different types of user intent, guys, and this will help you understand, or this will guide you to rate the relevance. So first we have the primary intent. This is for a result that satisfies the most obvious and likely user intent. So basically, this is when the user is getting a perfect result. And when the user is getting a perfect result, or the result they are actually expecting in the area they are expecting, this can be rated in the relevance as navigational or excellent. And as I said, this is the best option the user can get. Then the secondary intent, this is for a result that is less likely to be the user's intent. So for this one, your relevance should be rated as good. And then we have the unlikely intent. This is for a result that matches the user's query, but it's unlikely to be the user intent. And for this one, your relevance should be rated as acceptable. Then guys, in the other screenshot on the right side, which is again taken directly from the guidelines, basically it shows how you should go about demoting for distance. So now the next thing we need to do is to rate the accuracy of the name and the address. This is the next step. This is very straightforward and there is no need to spend too much time on this. This is basically some information validation that we need to do, because as you can see, guys, we have displayed the information of the store that we are rating. So we have to check if the name is correct, if the category that is displayed here is correct, and also if the address that we have displayed over here is correct. So basically, it's just about checking if the information that we have displayed in the purple box over here is correct or not. It's pretty simple, guys. So first of all, is the name and the category accuracy correct? So for this one, guys, to check this information, you can do your own research process using official pages, official websites, and to check the address accuracy. For this one, guys, you can use also official websites, but also we suggest to use the USPS websites specifically for the exam, because as I said before, for exam purposes, we are basically rating US addresses. So the USPS website is very helpful, but it's very important to note that if the address does not exist or is undeliverable on the USPS website, then you will need to mark the next section as can verify. So I know that some of you are not located in the US, then well, a lot of you are not located in the US, so you might not be familiarized with the US locations, guys. So in the welcome email that we sent you yesterday, there's a specific section with a link saying learning material. It will take you to a learning site. So in that specific learning site, guys, there's a recording of this webinar and a lot of information to get you prepared for the exam. But also there's a specific section basically telling you how to use the USPS website. There are specific steps. So if you are not familiarized with these US locations and you need some help, please have a look at this learning site and go to the USPS website information so you can understand how to use the site. And finally, then we come to the last question we need to answer, which is rating the pin accuracy. So depending on the question, you would likely spend most of your time on this part of the survey. And to be honest, the section of the guidelines that cover this is quite large, but it's mainly filled with examples and screenshots, so don't let this worry you. There are many resources and tools that you can use to rate the accuracy of the pin placement. So some of these resources are even available within the exam platform, so allowing you to draw on the map, zoom in and out, or even change the layer. And to help you here, you can also use another mapping resource like Google Maps, for example, or even the Street View tool. So this is basically about checking, guys. Remember the pin that we had in the map over here? So the pin accuracy check is basically about just checking if the pin is placed correctly or is placed in the correct place. So if this is actually placed in the store that we are rating. All right, guys. So let me just go back over here. Okay, so there is a section of the guidelines that candidates tend to overlook. And we see most candidates who fail this exam usually fail to read or to understand these sections of the guidelines. So if you want to get ahead of the other candidates, you should take the time to comprehend this section of the guidelines and refer to it all the time. There are specific rules in these sections that will affect your rating for some of the exam service, and those sections are specifically the 10.2, the 10.3, and the 10.6. So now, when it comes to the section 10.3, guys, just please remember that the queries that you have in this exam are real queries that come from real users. So keep that in mind specifically when it comes to address type queries, because sometimes the address may not even exist. And another point you need to be aware of is when the user specifies a specific location. So for explicit location intent, guys, the user is telling you what type of results they are expecting, but they are also giving you a specific location. So for example, maybe they are looking for Starbucks in Ohio. So guys, there's a specifically guide on what to do when the user is being that clear, when the user is telling you an explicit location intent. So the user is looking for a Starbucks in Ohio. And as you can see over here, it says exactly what to do. So for example, if you got only one result inside the requested location, one Starbucks inside the location Ohio. So basically, you should rate that relevance result as navigational. It says over here that if you get more than one result, all of those results located in Ohio, then you should rate all of those results an excellent. And the situation will be different depending on the type of results that you get, but keep that in mind. There's specific steps to follow on every single scenario. All right, guys, so now that I explained basically all this information and we understand now how the exam works out and what's all the questions we need to answer, we are going to try a live and practice question together. So I'm going to share my other screen with the try rating platform. All right, guys, so here it is. So as you can see, guys, this is try rating. This is how the real exam looks like. As you can see, you can zoom in and out in the map. You can move around. So for this specific example, guys, we have first our exam question over here, the user's information. This is the first step. So the query that we have today is, it says Walmart. We have a fresh viewport. This is where the user is located. All right, so as you can see, guys, the user got 3 different results. So we will have to rate all of those results. We have result number 1 in purple, number 2 in blue, and number 3 in green. This is where the user is located, and this is our viewport, a fresh viewport, as you can see over here. So remember, guys, for you, it will be necessary to rate all those 3 results using the boxes over here. As you can see, they are color code. Since this is just an example and because of time, we are going to rate just the first result. All right, so let's start with result number 1, which is Walmart Neighborhood Market located in Santa Clara, California. All right, so let's start answering the first question. So is there a navigational result for this query? What do you think, guys? If the query that we have over here says just Walmart, and we are rating a result for Walmart Neighborhood Market located in Santa Clara, California, do we have a navigational result? Okay, I'm reading your answers in the chat. I can already see several no's, some yes. Yes, okay. Okay, guys, but most of you are typing no, which is very good because you definitely got it. So let me explain this once again. The correct answer here is no. First of all, guys, because we know that there's several Walmart stores all over the world, especially in the US, But if someone types Walmart into a mapping search engine, just like this, they're going to get several results. They are not going to get a unique result. So for that reason, we cannot say that there is a navigational result for this query. They are not going to get a unique result. That doesn't mean that Walmart cannot have a navigational result, but in order for us to answer yes, for example, the user's query could be Walmart neighborhood market. If the user would have typed that and we are rating that specific result, then the answer would have been yes. But the user just typed Walmart, so they are not going to get a unique result. And for that reason, the answer is no. All right, guys. So now let's start rating and answering the other questions. So first, we have these two checkboxes over here. So is the result name or title in an unexpected language or script? So you have to do your own research process, guys. But here I have the Walmart official website. So we know that Walmart is correctly spelled. So this is not incorrectly capitalized. Basically, the name over here is correct. And for that reason, it's not necessary for us to mark the first box over here. Now for the second one, is this business or point of interest closed or does not exist? Again, you need to do your own research. Since this is just an example, I already have this information over here. And I found out that this store is even open right now. So that means that this is not permanently closed. And for that reason, we're gonna keep these two over here in blank. Right. So now let's start rating the relevance. So how relevant is this result for the user? How good is this result according to what they are looking for? We know that they are looking for Walmart and we know that we have a fresh viewport. So let's have a look at the map. So you can see, guys, the result that we are rating is inside of the fresh viewport. So at the beginning of the presentation, I mentioned that viewport is basically the part of the map that the user was looking at. And whenever you have a fresh viewport and an implicit location intent, because as you can see in this query, the user is not telling us in which specific part they are expecting to get this Walmart result. They are not telling us Walmart, Ohio, or Walmart in Santa Clara. They just type Walmart, but we know that they were looking at this specific part of the map. So that means that the user is expecting results in this specific part of the map because they are not telling us a location, but they were looking at this specific part and we have a fresh viewport. So that's all that this means. Basically, guys, they are expecting results here. And as you can see, this result is located inside of that specific part. So that's already a good indicator. That means that this is definitely a good result. But my suggestion is also, guys, so you can have all this information clear, have your guidelines document open all the time. I have them open over here. So there's a section that is very helpful, which is the 11.3 and 11.4. I'm going to click on it on the heading over here. And here it is, guys. There's two boxes. It basically tells you what to do depending on if you have a fresh viewport or an stale viewport. We know that for this example, we have a fresh viewport, but I just would like to mention that if at some point you have an stale viewport, that means that you can totally ignore the viewport, the purple box in the map, because if you have an stale viewport, then the user is not expecting results in this specific part of the map. If you have an stale viewport, please ignore the purple box and focus on checking how close is the result that you are rating from the user's location or from the location the user specified in the query. All right, so now, as I said, this is not the case because we have a fresh viewport. So if you have a fresh viewport, this specific section, the 11.3, is telling us what to do. So there's some information we need to check. First is where the user is located. Is the user located inside of this purple fresh viewport or is the user located outside of it? The user is located outside of it today. But if at some point in any scenario you notice that the user is also located inside of this purple fresh viewport, so that means that you should focus on checking how close is your result, the one that you are rating, from the user's location, because it happens to be that the user is also located inside of it. Again, this is not the case because today the user is located outside of it. So what this is telling us to do is basically that we can totally ignore the user's location. This is very clear. The user is not expecting results in any specific part. They were looking at this part. So for that reason, the user is expecting results in this specific part of the map or close to this specific part. This is the result that we have, guys. So as you can see, this is basically all the user is expecting. This is the best option the user can get. So what do you think our relevance should be? Okay, I'm reading some excellent over here, some navigational, some bad, but most of you are typing excellent. So this is very good, guys. The correct answer is excellent. And let me explain that once again. First of all, guys, you cannot select navigational because, as I said before, we don't have a navigational result over here. So there's no way you're going to choose navigational over here. You will have to choose from one of the other options. This is the first step. But then we cannot say that this is bad because there is a clear connection between the query and the result. The user is looking for a Walmart and they are getting a Walmart result. So there's a clear connection. So we also know that you cannot answer bad. So this is not navigational, but this is also not bad. So we have to choose from one of these three. Most of you type that the correct answer is excellent, and that is the correct answer, guys. You definitely got it. This is excellent because this is the best option or the best result the user can get according to the information that we have displayed over here. This is an implicit location intent because the user is telling us what type of results they are expecting, but they are not giving us a specific location. So for that reason, this is implicit. So still we have a fresh viewport, which is a great indicator whenever you have an implicit location intent, because that means the user is expecting results here. And this result is in that specific part. That's why we say this is excellent. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Let's rate the accuracy of the name, the category, and the address. As I said before, this is pretty simple, just about checking if the information displayed over here is correct or not. So you will need to do your own research, guys. As I said, I already have the Walmart official website over here, and I also found the store that we are rating. So let's start with the name. We have over here that the name is Walmart Neighborhood Market. And if we go to the official website, it says over here that this is Santa Clara Neighborhood Market. But below of it, we also have just Neighborhood Market. What do you think, guys? Is the name correct? Okay, so I'm reading not correct, yes, incorrect, yes, no, yes. Guys, this can be confusing, but believe it or not, this name is correct. And the reason why we say this is correct is because Walmart is the business, but the name of this specific store is Neighborhood Market. So if we go to the official website, we can immediately notice that it says over here again that this is Neighborhood Market, and below of it, it also says Neighborhood Market. But something they decided to do internally in the Walmart website was to include the location just right before the name. So they included the Santa Clara name, but the correct name of this store is Neighborhood Market. So this is why we say this name over here is correct. All right, so now the category. We have over here that this is a grocery store. So again, you will need to do your own research and find out if this is the correct category or not. There's no need to spend too much time on this. We all know Walmart. We know that this is definitely a grocery store. So for that reason, the two answers over here are correct. So if the name and the category are both correct, then we can say that this answer over here is basically all correct. Now for the address accuracy, guys. This is the address we have, 3255 Mission College Boulevard, Santa Clara, California, and we also have a zip code over here. If we go to the official website, we can immediately notice that we have the exact same address. It's all complete. And for that reason, this is pretty simple. The address accuracy is correct. Okay, so now guys, for the pin accuracy, remember, these are the options we have to choose from, and this might take you more time than the other questions. Sometimes it might be easier, but this is just basically about checking if this dot, this purple dot over here, is placed actually in Walmart Neighborhood Market. We can use this map over here, or we can also use another mapping resources like Google Maps. So I'm going to show you how to use both things. So we are going to start using Google Maps. So all we need to do to check if this is placed in the correct location, in the correct store, all we need to do is to grab the coordinates of this pin over here. These are the coordinates of this purple pin over here. So let's copy these. Let's open Google Maps and let's paste them in the search bar tool. This will take us directly to that specific location. And this red dot over here, this is the pin. So basically, we're going to zoom in and find out if this is actually Walmart Neighborhood Market. And we can immediately notice that this is placed perfectly. So there is no need to spend too much time on this. This was pretty easy today, guys. For some of the scenarios, it might be difficult, specifically when it comes to address types or when there's no store queries. But this was pretty simple, guys. Um, Also, if we are using this map over here, and if we zoom in, we can immediately notice that this is the exact same building. And if we zoom in a little bit more, it says Walmart over here. So yes, the correct answer over here is that this is placed perfectly. But also, guys, there's another very helpful resource that you can use, which is the Street View tool. So if at some point you are not sure about if this is placed in the correct location, you can grab this little yellow dude over here, put him in the pin. This will open the Street View tool. And here it is, guys. So as you can see, we can immediately notice that it says Walmart Neighborhood Market. So you have a better view and you can be 100% sure that this is placed in the correct location. You can move around over here. So this is very helpful. And that's it, guys. So we finished over here. So now we have the comment and the link section. My suggestion is, and the guideline says that it is mandatory for you to leave a comment over here whenever you are not rating a result basically as a perfect result. As you can see, this scenario over here was pretty good because basically this is a perfect result for the user. This is excellent and all the information is correct. But if at some point your answer or any of these would have been different, not a perfect answer or not a perfect result, then it is necessary and mandatory for you to leave a comment over here specifying the reason of your rating. So for example, if you notice that the address is incomplete, then let us know, leaving a comment over here, but also include the address so we can understand why you rated as you did. And that's it, guys. So basically, all you need to do is to finish rating the other two results. Once you finish doing this process for all the results, you can click on the green button to submit your rating. This will automatically see your progress and take you to the next survey. All right, so now let's go back to the presentation. So that's the exam. If you're doing well, you can expect up to a maximum of 40 results to rate. And it takes candidates roughly up to 3 hours in total to complete the exam. But like I said before, you don't have to complete it all in one sitting. Feel free to take as many breaks as you need. This is the reason why you have 7 days, guys. So if you would like to take a break while doing the exam, all you need to do is to come down to the bottom left corner of the page. You will see a profile icon with your name. This will give you the option to log out. You can log out and log back in as many times as you need during those 7 days. Just keep in mind, guys, that, or well, my suggestion would be whenever you want to take a break, finish rating everything that you have in the screen. For example, if you have 2 results, finish rating those results, submit your rating. This will automatically save your progress, and then you are good to log out. Because, for example, if you start rating something over here, but you didn't save your progress because you didn't finish and submitted your rating, and if you log out or close the page, you might see a different survey with different results when you log back in, and we don't want you to waste your time. So keep that in mind. If you want to take a break, finish what you have in your screen, save your progress submitting the ratings that you have, and then feel free to log out and log back in whenever you want to continue. Also, guys, in the top of the page, we also have some information about the survey itself. You won't need this information. I'm just going to explain it so you can be fully aware of what's everything in the screen. First, we have the task type with the name Maps Search 2.0. This is the name of the exam. This is what the exam is called in try rating. After that, we have the task ID. This is very important for you guys. This is a unique identifier to each survey. So if at some point you are running into any issues, for example, that the map isn't loading or something isn't working correctly, or simply you're struggling with the survey and you need some guidance, all you need to do is to take a screenshot, email us, including the task ID displayed over here, so we'll know exactly which survey you are referring to and how to help you. And then we have the estimated rating time. Basically, guys, you can also ignore this one because for exam purposes, you are not being timed at all. So feel free to ignore the time over here. This will not affect your score for any of the service. So you are not being timed, guys. This is just some factor that we consider whenever you are working on live paid tasks, but this is just an exam. So the estimated rating time will not apply for you. All right, guys, so that brings me to the final section of this webinar. I will quickly go through some common questions, and while I'm doing that, if you have any specific questions, please feel free to pop them into the chat. I can see that we have some already, so I will get them after this. First, how long does it take to complete the exam? Roughly 3 hours in total. But like I said, you have 7 days to complete it. So you have like 1 or 2 days to practice in the exam simulator, read all the information in the learning site, and then use the other 5 days to finish the real exam and try rating, guys. So it will take you no more than 3 hours, but you have 7 days. When do I know that I have completed the exam? You will see a message in the screen saying no more service. That's when you finish your exam. And actually, you won't be able to see any more service. Can I release service? That's because we have a button over here saying release survey. And the answer for this one, guys, is no. You cannot release any of the service in this exam. The reason why you cannot release service, guys, is because if you click on that button and release the service, this will affect your score. You will get that answer as wrong, and this will affect your score. So we want you to know this, guys. It is not allowed to release the service during the exam stage. If you're running into any issues at some point, or if you need some help, it's better that you take a screenshot and you email us so we can help you, but do not release the service over here. And also, when will I get my results? The following Monday or Tuesday after your completion date. So the hiring team will contact you. They will let you know your result, and they will also let you know if you pass, what are the next steps, and how to officially get started. If you fail, do not worry. This is something that can happen. They might also ask you on the same day if you would like to retry this exam. But of course, this is something that as well is up to you. Can I take breaks? Of course you can take as many as you need, log out and log back in as many times as you need. Just make sure to finish the try rating exam before your 7 days deadline. Can I use a tablet or a phone? The answer is no. You can only complete this exam using a desktop or a laptop. And can I work from abroad or use a VPN? Again, the answer is no. You can only work in the country you were hired in, or you can only complete this exam in the country you were applying for. All right, guys. So now let's see. I'm going to solve a few questions we have in the chat. So let me see what questions we have. Can we get the recording of this session? Absolutely, guys. So the session today was being recorded. So if you would like to watch this specific session, all you need to do is to use the same link you used to access today's webinar, but the recording will be available in about an hour or two. And also in the welcome email that we sent you yesterday, at the end of the email, there's a specific link for a video. Basically, it's a recording of one of our last sessions. So it's basically the same content that we had today, guys. So you can use both options, the recording of this link, or you can use the one that we send you the welcome email. Okay, let me see what other questions we have. Can I access the guidelines before I start the exam? Of course you can, guys. So if you would like to access the guidelines document, but you don't feel prepared to start rating the service, you can definitely do that. All you need to do is to access try rating using the credentials we gave you in the welcome email. Reset your password. Once you successfully log in order to get access to that document, you need to start the exam. So just click on the Get a Survey to start the exam. Do not worry, it's not necessary for you to start rating. So you can totally ignore the first survey in the screen and click directly on the rating guidelines blue button. Once you click on this button, this will open the PDF in a new tab beside the exam. And now for the exam tab, you can either close it or log out and log back in whenever you feel comfortable and ready to start the exam. But remember, this is actually an open book exam. That means that you can have the guidelines document all the time while doing the exam. There's pretty similar examples in there, so you can refer to those and you can make sure that you are choosing the correct answers all the time. In this exam, do we use mobile or desktop? You have to use a desktop or a laptop. So these are the options we suggest. So try rating platform can work correctly for you. Are the guidelines the same for all of the questions? That is totally correct. The guidelines are the same for all of the questions. So there's going to be different scenarios. So you have to keep in mind that some things are going to be different depending on the type of the scenario you have. For example, if you have an explicit or an implicit location intent, you have a fresh or an stale viewport. So there's going to be different scenarios, guys, but the guidelines are all the same for those. So I am unable to log in to try rating and I'm getting an error message. Please provide valid credentials. All right, so I'm really sorry that you're facing this situation right now. Can you please send us an email to analystexamsupport@telusinternational.ai so we can get the situation fixed as soon as possible for you? Basically, guys, this is the qualifications team email address. So any questions related to the exam stage, any questions you have related to the exam, if you're struggling with any of the service or facing any technical issues, you can let us know. You can send us an email over here. So me and my team, we can get back to you as soon as possible with help. Okay, let's see what other questions we have, guys. So when the exam will conduct. Guys, you already have access to this exam. So we gave you access to this exam since yesterday because we sent you the welcome email yesterday. So you already have access to all of this information. So you have 7 days to complete it. Basically, starting or your time started running yesterday because that's the day we send you the welcome email. Keep that in mind. You have 7 days to complete it. How can I access the practice exam? Okay, so there's two ways to practice before getting into the real exam, guys. One is basically the GT Studio. The GT Studio is the practice exam simulator, which is this one over here. We have also sent you yesterday an invitation to join, which is this email over here. So all you need to do is to accept the invite and follow the steps we send you in the welcome email. Once you access GT Studio, and if you see this image over here, all you need to do is to wait for 1 hour and then you will get the practice task assigned into your profile. But there's also other way to practice. So in the welcome email, there's a specific section, learning site. If you access that link, you will get access to this specific site over here. This is the one that I was mentioning before, where you basically have all the information so you can fully prepare before getting into the real exam. But there's a specific tab over here saying exam practice. You can click on it. And basically, first, there you will find that there's the step to follow to access the simulator in GT Studio. But also, over here, guys, there's two specific scenarios to practice for this exam. These are extra scenarios. So we have relevance and we have name and address and pin accuracy. You can click any of both if you will, depending on which specific things you want to practice. But these are the two resources that we have right now so you can get fully prepared for the exam. After completing the survey, do I have to click on submit rating or release survey? Okay, guys, so let me clarify that for you once again. So basically, guys, you have to click on submit rating. This will automatically save your progress, the green button. It is not allowed to release survey. So do not click the release service at any point. You cannot release the service because otherwise you will get that answer as wrong, and this will affect your score. So if you want to submit your answer, you have to click on the submit rating green button. So this is a yes, this is a no, guys. Do not click the release survey button, please. So this one over here, this automatically saves your progress and take you to the next survey. All right, guys. So because of time, we're gonna have to leave it here for today. I know there's a lot of questions. So if you have any specific questions or if you're struggling with any service, let us know, guys. Send us an email to analystexamsupport@telusinternational.ai. Or also, if you didn't receive any of the emails, the welcome email or the GT Studio invitation, let us know so we can get the situation fixed and we can help you as soon as possible. Thank you all so much for joining today, and I wish you the best of luck with the exam.